when we have a situation with King.
Carl did bring that up in the finance planning team meeting. I think that is an issue. I think if we have, this year we'll have a little more notice though than last year, because the selectmen are telling us now, so at least, and I don't think they'd go as late as June 15th, but your concern
the
is
first Monday in June, I would think.
Yeah.
The tentative date was June 7th.
Right. Yeah. But still, it does present an issue, but at least we have more time to.
But doesn't the charter change, does that require a ballot, or is that?
Well,
I haven't looked at it.
I think for this, it may not, according to, certain issues do, certain
Yeah.
issues may not. You may have an option, like changing the date of a meeting, maybe.
So the
one
Board of
day.
Selectmen could do that?
No, it has to go to
Town
town
meeting.
meeting, and then you have to get an order of the legislature, I believe, or something like
You
that.
have to run by the legislature.
Right.
So it's
Yeah.
not going to be an issue this year.
No, it won't be an issue this year.
I
No.
think what they would be doing until, I didn't, that wasn't meant to be an announcement, it was a consideration,
Right, yeah.
I think, that the town administrator is considering. But what they would do until that time is they would continue to have April town meeting and,
Move it.
well, keep the April town
Right,
meeting
yeah.
for non-budget items
Right.
and have budget items at a special town meeting in June.
Just like we did this year.
Yes.
I don't think it was a special, I think we just continued it from April
Right.
to June, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Well, we want to get consensus on whether we want to contemplate Mr. Nelson continuing with this process, because, I mean, I was optimistic.
Yeah, I think we should continue on our timeline. Although I'll admit, if I get that budget December 20th, I'm not picking it up until January 1st. So I don't want you to get it to us and then have us all go on holiday break, so.
I would welcome it for the holidays, Carl, if you're ever ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I know you're already hard at work at it, so. we'll just keep
The only
moving.
time I actually get to sit and read stuff.
I do think we're going to get more indication over the next few weeks as to what our state aid might be for next year based on what kind of potential cuts we see this year. You know, all indications are that 2011 is going to be much tougher than 2010. And the town finance director is already starting putting some numbers to paper for revenues for next year and being very conservative. But at the same time, why not be very conservative because of what we're expecting?
It's like a free fall, it just gets worse every day, pick up the
Right.
paper, it's
Right.
worse.
Right.
And while I agree with Cliff and the other members that we need to put together a budget that we believe we need to effectively run our school system, it's not going to happen in 2011. So I guess we can do that just for our own purposes, but
But in a sense, Mel, it actually prioritizes things too, if you do that.
But then
So
it
that, you know,
it does, but you know, it sets off that whole, okay, here's what we need, but we know we're only gonna have this, so we're gonna have to cut this and that and the other thing, and it's that same thing every year that we do. And I just don't, sometimes I don't understand the value of it after seeing it for a number of years. You know, why do we continue to do that? And then it goes from, here's what we need, all these great things, and then, oh my goodness, we're gonna have to cut 30 teachers, and then we end up in the middle somewhere. I would say every, of the 5 years I've been here, that's, except for one, where we had to cut back a number of positions,
Yeah.
that's where we end up every time. So I understand the need of saying, here's what we think we need to run the school system, but the money's certainly not there.
But I think that it's a worthwhile exercise to do anyway, because, you know, part 2 of that process is going out and communicating that to the community, which we may need to do more of, and we will need to do more of, given the building projects.
I think it is worthwhile to have that. I'm just saying that I don't,
I hear you.
the money has never been there
Yeah.
to fund it.
I'd like to see us take this year's budget, add, in the right line items, contractual obligations, and that's salaries as well as costs, we talked about the cost contract. And then in another column, an adjustment for special ed, because we know there's been some kids that come in and some kids that move out, and that's our basis. And if we're fortunate enough that there is additional funding, then we can add to it. But I think we should just start small.
That is the other consideration too, the fiscal year that we're in, the teacher's contract is, there is no
It's basically it's a minimal
cost to
impact on
it.
the budget.
Next fiscal year,
Yeah,
it's gonna have to deal with granted a very small percentage increase,
Right.
but also with the full step
Right.
and a percentage. And this year, we didn't have to deal with
dollar value than the dollar value of special ed, because that's gone up since June town meeting. And, I don't think that we can at this point, expand spending in any one of the other line items, including the schools. And, you know, if we're fortunate, we'll be able to fund that. And if there is extra money, we all know, we've all seen the capital plans, we all know the expansion programs, we all know the hub classroom size areas that we would address. It would be awesome if we could address some of them. I think for now, if we start out with a big wish list budget, we're gonna just spend so much energy paring it down. And that's not what we need to do in these economic times. We have to lead the people and give them the confidence that we can have a good school system. At least with level funding, nothing short of that.
So I guess the consensus is for you to continue along.
If I could also
Yep.
just share some additional information with you. Superintendent and I began our process of applying for the last catch of ARRA stimulus money. And you may recall that the total available to us is $775,000. There are a lot of strings attached to it, as you know. Remember, there was investment, there was recovery, and the FY10 present budget calls for expending about $419,000 of those dollars to cover mostly salary costs. And we're also using a bit more to provide a couple new textbook adoptions that took place late August. So we have not changed our plan. We hope to follow through with the initial assumptions that we made. We have learned that the initial requirement that 50% of these funds be devoted to investment, 50% be devoted to recovery, has been relaxed. Recovery was a synonym for avoiding layoffs. Investment was a synonym for trying to expend money in a fashion that will save you money down the road. And while they're both logical goals, we're not going to be required to report on our expenditures in those two categories in a required fashion. So I think that it's probably fair to say that
Very good.
when we were putting together the FY10 budget, we were trying very hard to find that 50-50 split in a time when we were trying to avoid layoffs. You know, let's face it, that was our focus, is to maintain our personnel complement. So as we were putting together our thinking, we were being creative with the investment definitions in such a way as we look at it now, I think we feel a little bit more comfortable understanding that our focus on maintaining personnel levels was the right thing to do, and now we won't be in any trouble for doing it. So I think in the next week or two we'll complete that application.
So the-
We should be able, we will also, as I understand it, we'll apply for the full amount. But just go into the continuation of some of these salaries
For next
for
year.
FY11.
So we'll be applying for the 775, but only spending
Oh, right.
19 of it, in other words, this fiscal year.
And David, you had mentioned textbook purchases or something. Is there any status on that, or are we gonna have to use the ARA funds for that?
No, we will, I don't have the final amount in terms of what it actually costs, but because we didn't get the small cap,
Right.
I made a decision to purchase some middle school English language arts, some Spanish books, so we need to get what that actually cost, and then we'll apply that. I believe that it is probably around 50,000. But that was only a slice of the original list of the small cap text replacements. But these were critical to start the school year.
Anything else else on the budget?
No.
David, you have a report on class size?
Now, I'm gonna actually push that off for the
Okay.
next meeting.
Great.
To push it up.
So moved. What about the website
I
development?
do want to say a brief comment about that, because it came before the committee back in September when we announced that EdNets was ending, and we were in somewhat of a critical crunch here, because we do depend, or parents depend on our website for access to that information. We have more and more teachers who are developing their own individual websites, and we're paying bills online. So with EdNets ending as quickly as it did, Pam Bodwin, or asked Pam Bodwin to take this on as a responsibility and look at either a short-term solution, and actually a short-term solution we thought was to hire EdNets on a month-to-month basis. At least that was an offer that was initially made to us. We did explore it, and then that actually shut down as well. So Pam Bodwin contacted several providers based on other clients in Massachusetts and in other states. She brought the Learning Network and School Fusion to North Reading, to the Administrative Council, where they did presentations. The Learning Networks actually also is part of the virtual town hall, which is the same provider that does North Reading's town hall and others, but this division focuses strictly on schools. And so we looked at, and actually give you, if I could have accessed the internet, I would have done that tonight to show you, but I would recommend that you take a look at Salem, Mass Public Schools, in Swampscott, Westford, Manchester, Essex is another one. And then also outside of Massachusetts, we can look at Simsbury, Connecticut, and Rochester, New Hampshire, as well as Plymouth, Mass, as schools that are in the design phase. So what we're going to do, we actually, and with School Fusion, we had a webinar because the primary company is in Colorado, but they actually will link you up with a stateside, Massachusetts side provider. So we had a webinar for our administrative council and got to see some of the samples. So the short of it is that we have decided to go with the Learning Network, and the cost for that is, there's a design cost, an initial startup, and we forget when we contracted with EdNets, we say that we didn't get anything from EdNets, well, we actually say we paid nothing for the design, 5 years actually.
5 years? Wow.
And then then the annual fees.
Right.
So, for example, we're gonna be looking at a design cost of $9,500, and then about an annual fee thereafter of $5,000 per year. Now, that is not to maintain, that's just to take you through, to be the provider, to give you the templates, to have the on-site oversight, but it's going to be our responsibility in a distributed network or distributed website management to actually put content up there. So one of the first things that you're doing, if you're not hiring a webmaster, as some larger districts do, you need to make sure that the system has easy access. You don't want to go through a very complicated process of trying to get the notice up on the website about an upcoming meeting. It has to be as simple as designing using your word processing tools. So we felt very comfortable with that Learning Networks and would do this, and in speaking to other clients, they felt that this was clearly recommended. So what we've done at this point, because we came very rapidly to this switchover date, that we have 2 temporary sites up. One is the high school, one is the district. All of the other schools are feeding into those temporary sites, and then we're going to use from now to January 1st to actually work with this company to design. And that's an important